Good afternoon, grade 2. Now, I want you to look at the writings on the board. So, we have here a sentence, right? So, let us read the sentence that is written on the board. I work in the afternoon. Let me repeat. I work in the afternoon. After we have read this sentence, I want you to look for the difficult word that you encounter. So, most of us find the word afternoon difficult to read because as you can see, it is the longer word in our sentence. How can we read this as easily as possible? So, basically, in order for us to read this word easily, we have to read this slowly, part by part. Again, we have to read this word slowly and part by part. Like this. Afternoon. Again, afternoon. So, in order for us to read this long word afternoon, we have to read it slowly, part by part. And those parts are afternoon. When we combine them together, we can form the word afternoon. So, that's what we are going to do for our today's lesson. So, we are going to learn how to break words into smaller parts. This will be our aim for today. Today we are going to learn how to break words into smaller parts. When you say break, it's like the whole thing, we are going to divide them into portion or part. Okay, now, I want you to bring out your English content book and open it on page 106. So we are going to read a poem for today, and that's entitled, If I Were. Now, as I read this poem, I want you to follow along your fingers. So let's start. If I were. If I were a listener. Now, what word did you hear on the first line that I read? So we have the word lizard. Lizard is quite a difficult word because as you can see, it is also a quite longer word. So how can we break this down into smaller parts so that it will be easier for us to read this word? Like what I mentioned, we have to read this slowly and part by part. So let's do it in our word on the board. Lizard. So we have liz and art. Okay? So as you can see, we break down the word lizard into this particular part. So we have liz and art. So that's what we are going to do with the rest of our poem. We are going to find out some difficult words to read. We are going to break them down into parts by looking at the vowel sound. Make sure that when we break down words into smaller parts, we have to look for its vowel sound. What are those vowel sound again? When you say vowel sound, there's R, A, E, E, O, and A. If it's a short vowel sound, again, it's A, E, E, O, and A. There are some instances that you will encounter long vowel sound, such as A, E, I, O, and U. The same way as how we read the letter itself. But there are also some instances wherein the vowels are not that visible because there are some letter themes that when you sound them together, it will form a vowel, like what we have discussed previously in our topics. So let's go on with the rest of the poem and find some difficult words, and let's break them down into smaller parts. If I were a lizard, I would lie around all day and stick out my tongue in a very naughty way. And my mother could not tell me it is a wicked thing to do, since she would be a lizard and she would do it too. If I were a cricket, I would hop around all day and suck my teeth quite often in a chirping sort of way. And my mother could not tell me it is a wicked thing to do, since she would be a cricket and she would do it too. Okay, have you observed the words that are written on both face on the poem? So we have the words naughty. We also have the word wicked. The other one is cricket and the word chirping. So these are the words that are written both face on our poem. Now, as you can see, if we have to observe the words written here, they are quite difficult to read. So how are we going to read this in an easier manner? Remember, like what I mentioned a while ago, we have to break them down into smaller parts. How? By looking and finding at the vowel sound, because each part should contain a vowel sound. So let's do it one by one on our example words on the board. So we have the first one, the word naughty. So what are the smaller parts that we can get from this word naughty? So considering that we have to find out the vowel sound on each word. By the way, when we are writing the parts of each word, we have to use this symbol. What do you call that symbol? That is what we call slash. So we have to put slash in between parts so that you will identify how many parts are there in each particular word. So let's do it in our example. So we have on the word naughty, no slash T. Okay, so again, no slash and T. Can you hear a vowel sound on each part of the word naughty? Yes, we can. What vowel sound can we hear from the word no? Okay, we hear the vowel sound ah. Very good. On this particular part, T, the second part, what vowel sound can we get? As you can see, there is no vowel letter on this part. However, it produces a vowel sound. So what vowel sound is that? Yes, that is the vowel sound E. Okay, so T, E. Did you get it? Okay. So in the word naughty, how many parts do we have? 2. Very good. So we have no, which has a vowel sound A. And the word T, although there is no vowel letter there, it produces E vowel sound. Now let's proceed with our next word, wicked. So what could be the parts here on the word wicked? So we have weak. Don't forget to put the slash in between. And we have it. Okay? Wicked. Wicked. Now, what vowel sound can you hear on the word weak on our first part? Okay, you can hear the vowel sound E. Very good. E. Wick, there's a vowel sound E. How about on the second part, ed? Okay, so we can hear the vowel sound E. Very good. Now, how about on the third word? So we have the word cricket. So what could be the parts that we can get here on the word cricket? So we have crick as the first part, slash, and then we have it. Crick, it. Crick, it. Can you hear a vowel sound on both parts on the word cricket? Yes, we can. So in the word crick, what vowel sound can we hear? So we can hear the vowel sound E. How about on the word it? Basically, we can hear the word or vowel sound A. Okay, now, how about on our last word, chirping? So, how many parts can we get here from the word chirping? So, we have cheer and pee. Now, let us read them again. Cheer and pee. Can you hear a vowel sound on each part? Okay, very good. So, we have E for the word cheer and the sound E again for the word P. So now, take a look at this one on how we break down these words on our right into smaller parts on the left. Okay? Now, what did you observe? How do we break down this word into smaller parts on the left side? So there should be a process that we have to follow on that. So let me write it here. The steps that you have to follow in order for you to know how to break down words into smaller parts. First one, like what I keep on mentioning a while ago, we have to find vowel sound first. Okay? The vowel sound should be there on each part of the words regardless how many parts are there. Okay? So the vowel sounds can be the short vowel such as A, E, O, and A. Those are the short vowel sounds. You can also hear some long vowel sound the same way as how we read the letter itself. So we have the A, E, I, O, and U. And we can also encounter words wherein the vowel sounds are not that visible because they are not using a vowel letter. However, the letter themes that are being combined produce vowel sound. Like for example, like in our word naughty, the word T there may don't have a vowel letter. However, when you read them together or when you combine the two letter sounds, they produce a vowel sound as well. So that's the first thing that you have to observe, the vowel sounds. Okay? After you get that vowel sound, what will you do next in order for you to really show how many parts are there in each word? So we have to use this mark or symbol, and that is what we call a slash. What do you call this symbol again? Slash. Okay, the slash is a symbol used in between the parts to show us how many smaller parts can we get on each word. So you have to write this slash in between. Don't ever forget that, or else it will be hard for you to identify how many parts are there on each word. Okay? So the two things that you have to consider, vowel sound and the slash. Now, if we are about to break down this word into smaller parts like this, what do you call now these smaller parts? This is the word, and how about these smaller parts that are being separated by slash? What do you call them now? Okay? They are what we call syllables. Okay, what do you call them again? They are syllables. When you say syllables, as what you have observed here on our board, syllables are the smaller parts on the word. So when we break down the words into smaller parts, we get its syllables. Again, when we break down the words into smaller parts like this, we get its syllables. So na and T are syllables of the word naughty. And as you can see here on the word naughty, there are two syllables, 1 and 2. So how did we get that syllables? By just simply breaking down this word into smaller parts. by looking at the vowel sound and putting a slash in between the parts. Okay? So that is what we call syllables, the smaller part in the word. Is it important for us to know the syllables of the word? Yes, of course. It is very important. Why? Because through this, as you can see, we can read the words easily. Because if we go back to our example in the word afternoon, we were able to read the word afternoon slowly, part by part, which enables us to read it easily. From encountering difficulty in reading that longer word, when we break down the words into parts and read them slowly, part by part, we read them easily. And that's how important syllables are. Because through this, we can read words, even the most difficult ones, easily. And through this also, we can spell the words whenever you are being asked to spell it. Okay? That's the importance of syllables. Now, let's think of another words that has 3 syllables. So let me give you an example. We have gardener. In our previous examples, most of them have 2 syllables only. But this time, there are 3 syllables. So what are those 3 syllables on the word gardener? So we have the first one, gar. What could be the mark that we need to put it here? A slash, so that you can show each parts on the word. So we also have the garden and ner. Again, gardener, gardener. Now, can you hear a vowel sound on each word or on each part rather? Yes, we can. On this part, gar, what vowel sound can be here? Okay, so we have the vowel sound. Very good. How about on the second part? We have the vowel sound, e. And on the last part, we also have vowel sound, e. Very good. And look at the symbol that I use to show each part. We use a slash in between. So what is this again? The gar, the ner. These 3 parts are known as syllables. Okay, again, when you say syllables, these are the smaller parts in the word. When you break down a longer word into parts, those smaller parts are known as syllables. Take note of that. When you say syllables, these are the smaller parts that you get once you break down a word into its part. And don't forget to put a slash in between so that you can easily identify the parts on the word itself. But make sure once you divided or break down the word into parts, you can hear a vowel sound, either a short vowel sound, a long vowel sound, or a vowel sound that is being produced by combining letter teams. Okay? Now let me show you another example. How about the word carpenter? So what are the syllables there? So we have car, then put a slash, pen, and then ter. Okay? Carpenter. So as you can see, how many syllables do we have? 3. Very good. On the first part, what vowel sound can we hear? On the second one, we have A. And on the third one, we also have the vowel sound A. On each part, there is always one vowel sound. And they are being separated by a symbol slash. Okay? What do you call this again? They are known as syllables. When you say syllables, it is the smaller parts that you get once you break down the words into smaller parts. Don't forget that once you break down the words into smaller parts, you have to find out vowel sounds on each. And make sure to separate each part using the symbol slash. Syllables are very important, not just to help us read the words easily, but also when your teacher asks you to spell a certain words, it will make it easier for you to spell the word correctly since you know what are the parts should be there to form that particular word. So that's our lesson for today. I hope you learned a lot for our today's lesson about syllables.